But basically, RAIN is an acronym, which is what makes it so beautiful because in the moments when you're triggered, what you need is like something to remind you, something that puts you back online. And it's very simple to remember RAIN. So as you can read, the R is for recognize, the A is for allow, the I is for investigate, and the N is for nurture. So let's look at the first step. There's even like a pre-step from recognize, which is a bit of like the pause, it's like the moment between the stimulus and the response. There is a moment of like, oh, I'm going full speed. I need to change directions. And I pause. And that's when we begin with the RAIN, which is the recognize. And recognize, I also like to call it as like the remembering to remember. The remembering to remember who I really am, remembering to remember, like what my values and principles and things are. The recognize is is a simply noticing. And we're gonna look that like rain is this dance between awareness and compassion. We're dancing with this two. Um, Tara Brach calls them the two wings of awareness, and it's like a bird can fly with one wing. It needs both. So we need the ability to be aware, so to recognize and see to the best of our ability things as they are, beyond our stories, beyond our fears. It's just like to be able to see with neutrality. That's like awareness that gets polished. The more it's a muscle, the more we use it, the more we become aware of things. The recognize basically is this moment of noticing. And it helps when we're noticing what's happening to name it. This is a moment where we also name mostly our felt sense and our emotions. It's the saying like, I am angry. I'm feeling anger, or I'm feeling frustration, or I'm feeling, sad. And it's interesting because in today's world, like we know very little emotions or the name of it. We're like quite illiterate in emotions. So emotions wheel. So if we know there's like, one, two, three, four, five, six main ones, which is probably the ones that we know. But then they spread and they branch out into so many others. It's like it, the feeling of inadequacy, feeling hysterical, feeling panicked, or feeling enthusiastic, triumphant, feeling awestruck, stimulated. There's so many things, displeased, dismayed, disheartened. There's so many nuances that if we were to have this like thermometer beyond the inner six ones, and be able to at least go to the second circle, we would find that we could like be more precise in knowing what we also need, because emotions also lead us to what our unmet needs are. So that was the recognized. Can we recognize what we're feeling in the moment? Now I lost my other presentation. Here. The recognizing, the naming, the noticing. What am I feeling? A little note on rain, on the rain practice, is that it's always self-focused. I don't know if you went with Zamir about the difference between proprioception, exteroception, and then interoception, the internal perception. So rain, it's not getting caught in the story or in the blame or in the you or in the they or outside, but it's all like, the spotlight is all towards ourselves. It's like what's happening inside. So the recognizing is not a mental like he said, so then this and that. It's like, how am I feeling? What's happening with me? It's okay. We can justify it and it's okay. whatever we're feeling, it's okay. We don't have to make it an enemy. We don't have to justify it to ourselves. It's like, it's our reaction and we need to, be content with it or just like allow it to be, which is the next step that we'll go. But it's this internal focus beyond the outside and an external story. So then we come to the allow. Allow, and I also like to interchange allow with accept because it is this deeper sense of openness, you know? And allowing tends to be tricky when we are feeling unpleasant emotions or when we are feeling things that we don't want to feel. Non allowing is usually what we go for, and non allowing is a contraction. So allowing requires softening. As Chogyam Trungpa would say, is like you meet your edge and soft. What would that do with the edge? The edge is that point where we can't go anymore, and then we come and meet the edge and we soften. That softens and you know amplifies even the edge. So in the allowing and in the accepting, we need to understand that it is about what we are feeling again, what's happening with us. Because we have so much being told that like you can't be angry or like anger is it's not good and you shouldn't feel it and like whatever it is with the emotion, however you're feeling it. But as Rumi, the poem he has of the guest house, like every guest is a message from beyond. Can we welcome them fully open and invite them for tea? Basically, is what the poem says. And it is the us like being able to embrace things as they are. With awareness, we notice the things as they are. And allowing, it's already touching on the other wing, which is the compassionate, the being like, can I allow this to be? So let's say something happened and I'm angry and, I recognize like, okay, I pause and I recognize, okay, I'm pissed off. I'm super angry. Then the allowing is that, can I allow the anger to be there? Sometimes the answer is no. And then it's like, can I allow the resistance to be there? And that can be like, maybe. A maybe is enough. The more we soften, the more we can allow the deeper layers to be accessed. You will look with Kristen next week on the theme of the koshas, which is absolutely fascinating. The interplay and the interconnectedness of our physical body, of our mental body, of our pranic or energetic body, and all of these things. So it's just like, can we allow? Can we soften? And then can we go deeper? So that's the step of allow. I will guide you through a meditation on this. So like right now, I'm just like installing some concepts. It might be a little bit heady, but then we'll go into it more in a felt sense. So no worries. The I stands for investigate. And this investigation, or I think I like the word investigate. I always like to play a little bit with words. So it's like it's investigate, it's inquire, and it's become intimate. Investigate, it's a little bit of a concept that is too heady. It's like, oh, I need to investigate what's the cause of this. And that's not really what we're pointing to. It's more like an inquiry and an intimacy, like become intimate with what's there. So in the example of I'm getting angry, I recognize it, I allow it, I make space for it. I like invite this guest from beyond to drink tea with me, and I'm just like not trying to change it, manipulate it, or anything. I'm just like noticing. And then the investigation is like, can I get curious? There is an aspect of curiosity. And can I get to know you a little better, kind of thing? Anger, come sit. Can I listen to what your message is? Can we become close, intimate friends? Can I inquire into your arrival and your gifts? That's the investigate. And it's mostly a very somatic one because, as you know, your issues are in your tissues. So this is a key, this meat suit is a key gate that can help us then go into again the deeper layers. So the investigation is like, how am I feeling this in my body? Perhaps we go a bit into like wondering what's the belief that usually gets active. And we start peeling the onion because the outside is the reaction, the dog barking. But when you notice really what's in, it's like, oh, can we get to the ow, the ouch, the oof, this hurts. Once we find that this hurts through the inquiry, through the becoming intimate with, can we nurture it? And this is where the rewiring kind of no, the rewiring happens all throughout, but like this is a really important step of that, where we again, the investigate is awareness.
Lalita, dear,
Yeah.
just to pause, you froze for the last minute or two and then logged off and just logged back on. So if you could backtrack
Oh
to
no.
investigate, I think you were just wrapping it up there.
Okay. Do you remember what I said in investigate?
You were talking about good to know your gifts, and you were talking about it more as like a somatic practice, less like heady.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
great. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of investigate. Thank you for, checking in. I'm so glad you're there to tell me when I freeze because I can't see anybody. Um, so investigate is part of our awareness, awareness cultivation of like noticing what's happening. And then we go once we find that like ouch place. So it's the dog that is barking, but when we notice what's really behind it, it's like, ow, there's a wound. There's something that is deeper. We're peeling the onion because on the outside, this is what's showing, right? This is the bullet. But on the inside, what's what's moving me, right? So once we find that like ouchie, that out, like I'm getting there somewhere inside deeper, then we nurture, then we nourish, then like we just through our loving presence give ourselves what that wounded place needs the most. I did mention that in the first development of the rain practice, this was not nurture, but it was non-identification, which because this is coming from like a Western Buddhist framework. The Buddhists are a lot into this, like let's create space and not get identified, which is useful. But again, why Tara Brach decided to change it is because she noticed that it was creating a lot of dissociation. Um, and that's another form of like, like not 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 truly being able to cope with what's happening. So the nurturing aspect has sometimes, and for some people, and depending on what's being triggered, depending on what's the samskara, what was your vasana, right? Your conditioning, and what was your impulse to react. Um, and depending on your tendencies as well, like what you tend to do, nurturing can be very challenging. And it comes, it becomes better with practice. But sometimes when we get to the ouch place and paired to that, there is a feeling of I'm not enough, I'm not lovable, I'm like unacceptable, all of these things, I'm inadequate. That can create a barrier into the nurturing, right? And this is when Tara developed this concept of resources. She calls this resources. I like to call them like allies. And it's when we think about, and I want you to, take a moment now to reflect on who or what will be something where you have felt from whom or from what, like unconditional loving support. This can be your grandmother. Maybe she's dead and it's fine, but it was like your grandmother could have been that for you, or your partner, or your child, or your puppy, your dog that just like no matter how you show up, she or he's gonna just like whack the tail and like just lick you with so much love. Or it can be, bigger concepts like the Mother Earth, it's like maybe you have a super connection where you put your feet in the earth and you feel lovingly held by the Mother Earth. Or perhaps is Jesus or Buddha or Ganesha, or like just find something, the universe, the cosmic mother, something that when you think about that, and when you think about that, like if you could borrow his, hers, their eyes to look at you, you would only feel love and compassion and like acceptance. So if you choose one, maybe even two, that's your ally. When in the moments when we're going through the rain practice, when you're feeling stuck especially in this step of nurturing, you are like, I'm going to call in my ally because the ally is going to help me, bring in this nurturing to myself. It can also be like your higher self. Anyways, there's many things to choose from. So, reflecting on what would be your ally will be important also for our practice for when we get stuck into perhaps the nurture. So let's just review a little bit and then we'll go into the bit of the practice. The R, again, it's a dance of awareness and compassion. R, awareness. A, compassion. I, awareness and compassion. And it's just, this interwoven. They're not separate, they're all permeating, but they have like a stronger flavor, let's say, of this too. Recognizing, pausing, noticing, what am I feeling it, naming, you know, non-judgmentally recognizing. This is also the non-judgmental that then leaks into like all throughout is a non-judgmental, like of allowing and accepting, of expanding into also the discomfort. And this is something that you do in yoga asana, right? So it's like, how can we bring this off from the mat too? You're in this pose, you're uncomfortable, but what's happening? You're breathing, you're aware of the body parts, you looked into the moving principles, which are just like an amazing way of, turning on the interoception that is beyond the form, more touching into the feeling. So this is the allowing. I'm super uncomfortable, but there's something here for me. I'm going to allow it. Then the inquire or, become intimate or investigate is the peeling of the layers and noticing how does it feel in my body? Can I allow these feelings to be there? What's behind it? Is there a belief behind it? Is there, something in there? And then the last step, the nurture, can I give myself some love and compassion? That is truly what I need and what I'm expecting the outside to fulfill. And because it's not meeting those needs of mine, I'm reacting. The after the rain, like when it pours and then all of a sudden it stops. Nature starts to come alive in a very beautiful way, right? Like the birds that were like perhaps hiding under a leaf now start and fly. You see like the butterflies, and it's like it's a precious moment. The plants are just like soaking the water. Perhaps there's a bit of sun, so like everything just feels like is alive, right? Also through this rain. This rain is the same thing. It's just like it refreshes, it washes, it clears, it, whatever it is. And the after, it's truly where the magic happens. Is in this after pause where things are getting, rewired. And the more we savor, the more we become familiar and intimate with the after, the more we are creating a positive conditioning in ourselves of like, just maybe, maybe if I get so familiar with the state of being at ease, maybe I can crave more of that other than the addiction to not being at ease, which is mostly our cases, right? Why we seek trouble so much because we love it. We're addicted to it. So the after the rain is this precious time. So once you find your body settling, you may choose to close your eyes or keep them slightly open and just gazing downwards, whatever feels more, productive and wholesome for you today. And start tuning into your breath, tuning into your seated position, into this form, this shape that your body is taking. Imagining that your body and your thoughts are like this feather that is in the air and it's just softly and gently landing to the ground. So, with that delicacy, with that softness, allowing your mind and your body to settle into stillness. How does it feel to feel your body from the inside out? Noticing the weight of your body against the cushion, the mat. Noticing the volume of your body in the space. Noticing what scents, what smells are alive in the space, the humidity of the air, the fragrance of the plants around you. Noticing at the level of touch, the sensations of the clothes touching your skin, the heat, and again, even the humidity of the air on your skin. Feeling this envelope that divides what's outside and inside in the physical body. How this surrounds you and how this informs you what's outside, what's inside. And noticing it from all the angles possible. The skin in your legs, the skin in your armpits, the skin of your head, the scalp, just trying to notice this dimension of yourself. And then as you deepen into an embodied presence, just becoming aware of whatever is present, whether pleasant or unpleasant, a felt sense or a thought or an emotion, just making room for what is without trying to change, manipulate, or alter anything that you notice, simply starting to make room for whatever you find. And as we soften in presence, we're going to come back to that situation that triggered you. Maybe it was in the past day or in the past week. There's one thing that stirred you up. And we're going to be the characters of the movie. So we're going to remember, where were you? What was happening? Who were you with? What was being said? What were you hearing and or saying? Whatever you remember from the scene, try to make it sharp and clear as if you were back in it. And then we're going to press pause and freeze the scene. And I want you to now check in with what's happening inside of you, turning the focus point now not to the scene, but to what's happening inside. And we begin with the R of recognizing. So recognize, name. How are you feeling? What's present? Perhaps you can name the emotion that's in the foreground. We recognize what's happened internally within us. Leaving a sense of judgment, we just notice, become aware. Then, as we now know what we're feeling and experiencing, hopefully, we go to the A of allowing and accepting. Can we make room? Can we allow ourselves to feel the way we're feeling? Can we tell to this emotion that's knocking on our door, "Come, my friend, sit, let's have some tea"? Can you create spaciousness and room for that emotion to be there? Without making it right or wrong, without justifying it, without rejecting it, without trying to change it, just simply letting it be. Without trying to numb it or escape from it, just allow it to be. Continuing with this allowing as we investigate, we become now intimate through inquiry. By noticing, where is this feeling in my body? Perhaps there's even a body shape that this emotion wants to take. So if you want, you can even go so into the emotion that it creates also like the physical expression of it. Perhaps you clench your fists, perhaps you frown your forehead, perhaps you hunch a little bit, or whatever the emotion, the shape the emotion wants to take. And with the same quality of noticing and allowing, sense how it feels in your body. Doing a little body scan and checking hot spots, such as, the forehead, the head. Perhaps there's tension. Noticing the shoulders, the chest. What's any felt sense there? Noticing the belly, the diaphragm, the hands. Noticing the various ranges of sensation you can be aware of. Heat, cold, expansion, contraction, tingling, numbness. Numbness is also a possibility. Without trying to change what you notice, can you just make room for it to be? Perhaps you notice that by noticing already things start to soften. That's okay. Also, the opposite is a possibility. So, in this inquiry, again with the focus on ourselves, I want you to ask yourself, what's the hardest part of this situation? And what am I believing about myself? Taking deep breaths as you explore and inquire, what do I really need in this moment that I'm not getting? What is my unmet need? What is the trap on the dog's foot? With curiosity, with kindness, with openness, peeling the layers to notice what's present, and always giving the loving attention to what's ever arising in the foreground, noticing how our experience shifts, mutates, changes, expands, contracts, shifts. And when you find this ouch, this wound, perhaps is a little me, perhaps is a your little child, their inner child, perhaps is just a frightened, vulnerable version of yourself. Touch into it. And we switch now into the nurturing by asking this little version of yourself, this wounded part, what do you most need? Perhaps it's to be felt, to be acknowledged, to be seen and held, and to be loved, to be valued, to know that it matters, to know that it's worth it. If you may, you can put your hand on your chest or on your belly, or give yourself a squeeze, or in any body part that it can feel nurturing to bring this tender, present touch. And if you find that this part of you, you can't yet fully meet it, can you call in your ally or allies? And can you look at yourself and at this part of you through their eyes? And can you offer, either through them or on your own, this which you mostly need? Perhaps it comes with a tender touch. Perhaps it comes with a little mantra of saying, I'm here for you, I see you, I love you. You are worthy of my attention and my affection. I am with you. I am here. And breathe through the experience as you continue to make more room. And as you continue to nurture, to love with presence, and to feel that unmet need yourself. Feeling held by a larger, expansive, compassionate awareness. This field around you and also beyond you that doesn't want you to be any different because you're already perfect and whole. This field of conscious, loving awareness that holds you and your experience in perfect wholeness. Connect to your breath and invite some deeper breaths as you let this expansion be felt in your body. And in this moment, after the rain, savoring and tasting what is now possible. Always connected to your body and to your felt sense, to the sense of safety and security that you and your allies have created for yourself. And then ask yourself this question: who am I when I believe myself to be worthy, to be lovable, and to be fully accepted exactly as I am? Who am I when I believe myself I am whole, I am complete, Taking a moment now to notice how our body feels from the inside out. If something might have changed from how our bodies were feeling when we were recognizing our patterns. Simply becoming aware if there's any changes, even if subtle. And then knowing that just as one tree won't grow from just one single rain, it is the repetition, the showing up again and again that will help us water the seeds of those plants that we want to grow so that we rewire ourselves to grow what we want more of and to unroot the things that we want less of. So trusting that we have gathered here today because we feel ready to continue the sacred work of undoing our habitual patterns, because we know that this is our gateway to true freedom, because we know that by widening the gap between the stimulus and the response, we are then free to choose, free to respond and not to react. And we close this practice with a quote from Rumi that says, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers you have built against it, and to love them." Taking some deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Allow the body to seek the movement that it needs to come back into the space. You can gently blink your eyes open if you had them closed. Take a moment to feel the contact of your body against the ground. Take a moment to recognize the space you're in, looking around, the shapes, the textures, the play of light and shadow in the space. Giving yourself, if you want, a little squeeze, a little stretch, just anything that helps you feel now alive with presence in this perfect moment.